This is a video I've been looking forward to making for a very long time. Sorry it's a little late, by the way. I look forward to these videos every year from my favorite YouTubers, so it's pretty cool to finally be able to make my own top 10 movies of the year list. This is one of the best years for movies that I can remember, especially for horror, but it was also one of the worst years that I can remember for comic book movies, with a few exceptions that we may or may not be talking about later. This list is going to be purely ranked based on how much I enjoyed these movies. Quality has a little bit to do with it, because obviously I don't enjoy watching shit. These are the movies that stuck with me, that I rewatched all year long, and the ones that I eventually bought on Blu-ray.
A fine addition to my collection.
In this video, I'm also going to be giving out some Bravo Awards, most coveted award on YouTube. I'll announce the winners as I'm talking about the movies that received the certain awards. Since I'm relatively new to this whole YouTube thing, this list should kind of give you a good taste of my tastes. Hey yo, this list should give you a good taste in my taste of movies. I obviously didn't see every single movie that came out this year, and I actually missed quite a few movies that I really wanted to see. So if your favorite movie of the year isn't on here, I might have missed it, or I might have just not liked it. Before we actually get into the top 10 list, I'm just going to give a shout out to a few honorable mentions, movies that I love, but that just barely missed the cut. Those movies are Fresh, The Black Phone, Bullet Train, Hustle, and Smile. All right, let's get into the list. Nope was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it didn't disappoint. In my opinion, this is Peele's second best movie behind Get Out. Daniel Kaluuya is going to be receiving the first Bravo Award of the night for Best Actor. He absolutely killed it in this movie with his very realistic and subtle performance as OJ. All of the acting in general is just phenomenal in this movie. I love the cast of characters, and it's also Peele's best looking movie to date. There's some incredible cinematography in this movie, especially with some of the nighttime scenes. There's some genuinely creepy moments in this movie, and there's some really epic moments in this movie that just kind of blend together nicely and give off this Steven Spielberg blockbuster feel with a little bit more of an edge to it, and I really loved it. Pearl's wild. It's one of the most unique and genre-bending movies I've seen this year. It's a horror movie with elements of like an old school whimsical musical. It's also a pretty dark origin story and character study, kind of like The Joker. This movie was shot in Technicolor, which really enhances the old school feel of this movie, and it also makes it one of my favorite movies of the year just aesthetically. I think it looks phenomenal. The colors are super vibrant and saturated, and it just makes every single frame pop with color. Okay, we gotta address the massive, batshit crazy elephant in the room, and that's Mia Goth. Wow. She's gonna be taking home the Bravo Award for Best Actress. She genuinely creeps me the fuck out in this movie.
What did I do wrong?
Nothing. Calm down.
No! Why are you leaving me if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't understand. I thought you liked me!
She's unbelievably amazing, and it's a crime against humanity that she's not gonna get nominated for an Oscar just because it's a horror movie. This movie really is something special. It's a perfect prequel to X, and I also think it stands on its own very well. But going back to X after watching Pearl definitely enhances the experience a little bit, and they just work so well together. This movie's pretty awesome. There's no other way to put it. I literally watched the first Top Gun for the first time the same day I went to go watch this one in theaters, and this movie just completely blew me away. It's a perfect sequel to the first movie, and it's really just one of the best sequels of all time. It's also one of those sequels that actually surpasses the original movie. I thought the dogfighting and the plane shots in Dunkirk looked amazing, but this movie just took it to another level. And if you're gonna outdo Christopher Nolan, that means you're really doing something impressive. The amazing cinematography and camera work really just led to some of the most amazing and tense action sequences I've seen in a very long time. This movie doesn't just have great action though, the story really delivers. There's a few scenes that really pulled on my heartstrings in this movie, and I only saw the first movie once, and I don't have the same attachment to these characters that a lot of other people do. That's a credit to the great writing and amazing performances by Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. I also really enjoyed Glenn Powell's Hangman. He was a great dickhead. Ty West really might be the MVP of 2022. This dude has 2 movies in my top 10 list. Crazy. I've had a pretty interesting relationship with X. I saw the trailers when they first came out and I thought the movie looked really cool. And then once the movie actually came out and critics got to see it, they were saying it was just amazing, 10 out of 10, phenomenal. So then when I actually went to go see it, I think my expectations were just through the moon. Because when I left the theater the first time, I thought it was pretty good. Like, I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't think it was as good as everybody was saying it was. A few months later, I had the urge to rewatch it, so I got it on Blu-ray. And when I saw it a second time, it just clicked with me. I think I've seen X a total of 4 times now, and I absolutely love it. It's a nice blend of elevated horror and a classic slasher movie like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the main reason why this movie works so well is the amazing cast of characters. Mia Goth, again, is the standout as Pearl and Maxine, but my personal favorite characters were Bobby Lynn, played by Brittany Snow, and Wayne, played by Martin Henderson. And you also got Kid Cudi and Jenna Ortega in there. I have to give them a shout out. They're also fantastic in this movie. It's just a really fun, dirty movie, and I can't wait to see how Ty wraps up this amazing trilogy he's been cooking up with Maxine in 2023. I love this movie. I don't really know what that says about me as a person. You can judge me all you want, but I love this movie. This is the meanest, goriest, and most fucked up movie that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, people were supposedly puking and passing out in the theater while watching this movie, and I was just kind of blown away by it. I just felt like I was watching something special for the horror genre as a horror fan. I felt like watching this movie and seeing Art the Clown must have been similar to how people felt when they watched Nightmare on Elm Street, saw Freddy Krueger for the first time, and when people saw Halloween and saw Michael Myers for the first time. I'm not really a fan of the first Terrifier movie, but Art was a clear standout. He's just an awesome character. He's a great horror villain. But in Terrifier 2, we get the best Art the Clown stuff that we've seen so far, solidifying him as an all-time horror icon. You also get an amazing performance from Lauren Lavera as Sienna, who in my opinion is already an all-time great final girl. You get some amazing, disgusting, disturbing kills, and a movie that's 10 times better than the original. Terrifier 2 is going to be taking home the Bravo Award for the biggest surprise of the year. If you would have told me that I would have walked out of the theater liking Terrifier 2 100 times more than I liked Halloween Ends, I would have said you're on crack.
But now cocaine comes in a delicious shape. Red balls. It gives me wings.
In a year full of mid disappointments from Marvel, this was the one exception for me. The movie that had the most going up against it ended up being their one true success of the year. Ryan Coogler somehow figured out how to make the perfect sequel to the original film without the star of the franchise, while honoring his legacy and moving the story forward in the most natural way possible. I think this is objectively the best movie in the MCU. The only con is the rewatchability for me. It's so long and emotionally draining. I don't know how often I'll go back to it, but the movie having a stranglehold on my emotions isn't really a con. It's actually kind of impressive and just goes to show how impactful this movie is. Knives Out's one of my favorite movies of all time. Rian Johnson's one of my favorite directors of all time. So I guess I was a little excited to see this movie, and with all those insurmountable expectations, it somehow lived up to the hype for me, because this is another damn near perfect sequel. Even though I don't necessarily like it more than Knives Out, I think it does certain things better than Knives Out, and I think it stands on its own very well. The main thing I think it did better is the actual mystery. It kind of kept me on my toes throughout the entire movie. Everybody was a little sus, so I kind of just kept revising my suspect list throughout the entire movie. This movie also had an amazing twist that I didn't see coming that just kind of took this movie to another level for me. I thought the characters were pretty interesting and fun to watch, and I really liked the commentary that Rian Johnson was kind of just sprinkling in throughout the movie about the rich and famous and powerful. I could watch another 10 movies of Benoit Blanc just going around the world solving different mysteries.
Oh, shitballs.
This was the most unique experience I had with a movie this year. I'm not going to say too much about this movie because if you haven't seen it, you should. And the best way to watch this movie is going in completely blind, just like how I did. This movie would have won biggest surprise of the year if I didn't hear nonstop praise for it before I went to go see it in theaters. And all of the praise is justified because this movie is an experience to say the least. It almost feels like three completely different movies that just come together perfectly somehow. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time I was watching this movie, just not knowing what the fuck was gonna happen next. It's intriguing, it's creepy, it's hilarious at times, and it's just filled to the brim with tension. Georgina Campbell, Justin Long, and Bill Skarsgård all give amazing performances in this movie, and Zach Kreger directed the fuck out of this movie. Having this be your debut film when you wrote the shit too is just insane. This probably is the best written movie that I've seen this year, because on paper, this really shouldn't have worked, but it just does. And I don't even really know how it does. It just does. And it's super unpredictable. I didn't really predict anything that happened in this movie. It's just an insane ride. The only flaw I have with this movie is that it's not out on Blu-ray. So if anybody with the power to put this movie out on Blu-ray is watching this video, please put this movie out on Blu-ray so I can add it to my collection. Radio Silence has some massive shoes to fill, taking over the Scream franchise after the passing of Wes Craven, and they just nailed it. This movie honors Wes and the legacy of the franchise while also setting up a new era of Scream. The legacy characters are amazing as always, and the new cast of characters are awesome too. I loved Sam, Tara, Chad, Mindy, and Richie. I know it's like half the cast, but I really like the characters. I don't know what I can say. Scream is going to be taking home 3 Bravo Awards this year, the first one being Best Supporting Actor for David Arquette as Dewey. This film took Dewey much more seriously than some of the other movies in the franchise, and it led to some of Dewey's best moments in the franchise, and possibly David Arquette's best performance as Dewey. The second award is going to be going to Jenna Ortega for Best Supporting Actress as Tara. She's amazing, and she's kind of the heart of this movie. She's at the center of most of the emotional scenes in this movie, and that opening scene, wow, is one of the best in the franchise. And the final award goes to Ghostface himself for Villain of the Year. This movie has some of my favorite Ghostface moments out of the entire franchise. Again, that opening scene is just amazing and pretty mean. Ghostface in general is probably the meanest he's ever been, the most brutal kills we've ever seen. There's one kill that just fucking traumatized me and wrecked me, and it still wrecks me every time I watch the movie. If you've seen the movie, I think you know which one I'm talking about. There's also a lot of amazing phone calls in this movie.
Sheriff Hicks.
Hello, Sheriff Judy.
And then the entire hospital scene, because holy fuck. And one genius thing that Radio Silence did was find a way to have more Roger L. Jackson in the movie. That's the voice of Ghostface for people that don't know. You usually only hear Ghostface's voice on the phone because whoever is Ghostface in the movie is using a voice changer. So when it's time to attack, you can't really run around with a knife in one hand and a voice changer in the other. But Radio Silence was like, hey, what if we put the voice changer in the mask so he can talk while he's committing the act of murder?
Richie!
Hello, Samantha.
Thank you. Just thank you. I can't express how much I love that change. It's so fucking awesome. This movie also has some amazing commentary about certain trends going on in the movie industry and toxic fandom. I know not everybody loved that aspect of the movie, but I think it just fit the movie and the times we live in very, very well. It's not Scream if it's not meta. Yeah, if you knew me, you knew this was coming. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Johnny. Batman's the greatest superhero of all time, and if you disagree with me, you can go talk to the nearest fucking wall.
Don't care, don't care, don't care, still don't care. I don't care, I don't.
This isn't just my movie of the year. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. This is my favorite Batman movie of all time. And yes, this is my favorite comic book movie of all time. This is the Batman movie that I've been waiting for. To put into perspective for you guys, this movie came out in March. It's 3 hours long, and I think I've already seen it over 10 times in its entirety. It feels like Batman the Animated Series come to life with a little sprinkling of 7 on top. This movie just felt right. It felt like how Batman is supposed to be. You finally get to see him be an actual detective and kick some ass. The universe that this movie sets up is easily my favorite Batman universe we've gotten so far. This version of Gotham City is by far the best. I love the mix of old school Gothic architecture with some modern architecture. It just feels like Gotham City. It feels lived in, it feels dirty, it feels corrupt. It feels like a place you would not want to live. You see the physical and mental toll being Batman takes on Bruce in this version of Gotham City. It just feels like he's fighting a losing battle that he's never going to win. All of the characters are casted perfectly too, and of course the main highlight is Robert Pattinson as Batman. I knew he was going to prove everyone that was shitting on him wrong, but wow, the amount of depth and pain that he brought to Bruce and Batman is just amazing. It's a really subtle and calculated performance. I mean, he conveys so much with just his eyes and body language. It's really impressive. This movie also gave me my favorite versions of Gordon, Catwoman, the Riddler, and the Penguin. As soon as I heard Paul Dano was going to be cast as the Riddler, I knew he was going to do a great job, and he really did. He's amazing in this movie. I love the darker direction that they took the Riddler in here, and most of my favorite scenes in the movie are the ones with the Riddler in it. I actually wish he was in the movie a little bit more, to be honest. The Batman is going to be taking home 4 Bravo Awards this year, the first one being Best Director for Matt Reeves. Without his vision and direction, this movie just would have been a complete disaster. This movie could have very easily fallen victim to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 syndrome, where it just tried to bite off more than it could chew and just turns into a complete train wreck of random shit happening. But Matt juggled all the storylines in this movie, gave them all time to be fully fleshed out, developed, while also keeping them engaging. The Batman is also taking home the award for Best Cinematography. If you've seen this movie, I don't think I need to explain why. There's so many shots from this movie that I would just print out and hang up on my wall that I could probably make wallpaper for my entire bedroom. Michael Giacchino is going to be taking home the award for Best Score, and Batman is going to be taking home the award for Best Hero of the Year. And to speak about the score quick, it's perfect. It's super memorable. Michael Giacchino's theme for Batman is my favorite Batman theme. There's been amazing themes for Batman throughout the year, so that really says something. His theme kind of feels like a mix of Batman the Animated Series with Danny Elfman's Tim Burton Batman theme, and it's just fucking fantastic. Catwoman and the Riddler also have some amazing themes, and I also gotta mention the use of Something in the Way by Nirvana.
Something's in my ass.
Whew, okay, that is finally going to do it. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. I know this is probably a long one. Let me know what you thought of my list and give me your list in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe for more reviews, lists, and streams in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.